Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today is Lane Kiffin the biggest liar in college football history? What are we talking about? Well, as you guys know, earlier this week, Lane Kiffin accepted the job to become the next head coach at LSU. And since Kiffin left Oxford to go to Baton Rouge, a whole bunch of players, staff, and people in the Oxford community have been exposing and revealing a bunch of different lies that Lane Kiffin has told over the previous days, weeks, and possibly years. So I'm doing this video because you guys might hear me have that intro, and you might have one thing in your head where like, oh yeah, he definitely lied here. But there's actually just multiple times that he has lied, and it has just been immediately been disproven like that. Just like that. Just incredibly fast where it's like, nope, we can fact check this and you're completely wrong. So without any further ado, let's just get into it here. So some of this stuff, he 100% lied in some of this stuff. And then the last one I'll do, it seems like it's a little bit up in the air, or maybe this one might actually have been debunked. But we'll save that the possible debunked one for the end. So let's go ahead and read this one here. So this is one. Bryson Sanders, who is a player on Ole Miss's football team. Lane Kiffin had his, this is his like leaving letter to Ole Miss, and basically, you know, kind of the thing where he went after the athletic director in like half of his goodbye letter. He basically said in this, the whole team wanted me to keep coaching, but the athletic director was the big mean guy that didn't want me to do it. So Bryson Sanders, a player on Ole Miss currently, quote tweeted Lane Kiffin and said, despite the team asking me to keep coaching, quote, I think everyone that was in that room would disagree. Wow. Basically, hey man, I respect that. Shout out to Bryson Sanders. This is what we need more in society. We need more people punching up, attacking the powerful, going after them, calling them out when they're being skeevy, when they're lying, when they're being deceiving, when they're being disingenuous. We need people like Bryson Sanders. Thank you for being a leader, stepping up and saying, no, you're either with us or you're against us. When you said you're going to take that LSU job, you're against us. So thank you, Bryson Sanders. He was not alone in this. I won't show you guys what this other Ole Miss player said, but there was another Ole Miss player that also confirmed what Bryson said. So you can see Awful Announcing had the post here. Post updated to note that Ole Miss senior linebacker Suntarine Perkins has now also refuted Kiffin, saying saying, quote, that was not the message you said in the meeting room. So that's one lie right there where it's like, hey man, everyone wanted to keep me staying. And there's much people are like, no, we didn't. No, we didn't, homeboy. No, we didn't. Okay. Well, let's go further. So this is one here. This is Trey Wallace, who's done an excellent job kind of posting clips and covering this whole Lane Kiffin situation for Outkick. So this is what Lane Kiffin said, if you guys watched, and I'm sure this clip went mega viral. Lane Kiffin was talking, and I won't play this whole clip because I think he says it in like the first like 15, 20, 30 seconds of it, so we won't listen to the whole minute 9. But this is a clip where Lane Kiffin says when he was leaving Oxford, heading to the Oxford airport, where he apparently almost got ran off the road. So let's go ahead and listen to what Kiffin had to say here.
That you know, so they'll help you because you personally know them because you are leaving the state, and you got to call them because you know you drive with your son and you got to turn around and people are like screaming at you, you know, trying to run you off the road. I don't know what they're going to do, and so that affects you in that airport scene and all the things being said. I understand that. It's the passion, but they're saying that about you, that you thought you did a really good job for 6 years for them. That affects you. And even on the plane down there, I'm kind of like, man, we made this decision, but.
Okay, so you guys kind of get the point there. Lane Kiffin basically saying like, hey, people were trying to run me off the road. That's basically what he was saying there. Now, maybe you can read it a little bit differently, and you could, maybe there's a little bit like of a cop out there where he's saying that like, they would have tried to if you read a little bit deeper, but all of like the Ole Miss like university police department had to come out and be like, because people kept seeing that and reading the quote of like people trying to run Lane Kiffin off the road, and they had to come out and they had to refute that. So here's a story from MississippiToday.org. So news, a spokeswoman for the MDPS told MS Today News that Lane Kiffin had a safety escort from MHP when he traveled to the airport. The agency's officers have no record of an automobile trying to push the football coach's car off the roadway. So that's another thing there too, where it's like, in a way, like, even if Lane is kind of like not necessarily saying someone tried to drive him off the road, he's kind of throwing these fan bases under the bus where he's like, hey, we had to have an escort because if we didn't do that, these people were going to try and do that. Like, that's just being kind of like really low and just kind of like skeevy, where you just assume that they are going to be doing something like that harmful. And it's like, you had an escort, you were fine. It's a thing where he keeps trying to like position himself as like some sort of victim in this story. And he's not the victim. He's not. He went and he took this awesome job at LSU, and he left his team that had a chance to compete for a national championship. And the fact that he left means that he didn't think this team could compete for a national championship. He didn't. Because if he did, why would you leave? You would just stay and try to win the national championship. So that's one. This is another one. And this is one that, like, I think is definitely one that I'm sure you guys have known was obviously BS when Lane Kiffin said this. So Lane Kiffin says he did not know for certain until 8:30 a.m. Sunday, 30 minutes before a scheduled team meeting, that he would not be allowed to coach the playoffs. He was under the impression before the 8:30 phone call from AD Keith Carter that he would coach the playoffs. See, that is just one there that's obviously, because that's why, like, there was all of this news for multiple weeks, was because Lane Kiffin was like, hey, I'm going to be leaving. I'm going to take this job, but I want to coach the team through the playoffs. And the athletic director, the people at Ole Miss were like, no, you're not. That's not happening. 0.0% chance of happening. So the fact that he's like, well, I was kind of up in the air and stuff until Sunday, bruh, is just a flat out lie. And again, to prove this stuff, and I don't have the exact, there's obviously a bunch of audio clips of this, but the athletic director was asked about this, and he said, yeah, there's been a lot of things he said publicly that I'm not sure are totally accurate. Basically saying, yeah, dude. And he also said in this same quote, the athletic director, Keith Carter, he also said, we told him weeks ago, if you were leaving, you were not coaching in the playoff. You were not doing that. Weeks ago. No ifs, ands, and buts, no negotiations. You were not coaching. So now this one. I'm sure you guys have totally seen this clip that I'm about to show you guys. I know Mad Dog Russo on First Take, screamed about it for like 15 straight minutes, where Lane Kiffin says, hey, I just took this job, and like, I told my agent, bro, hey, don't even tell me any of the numbers, bro. I don't want money to be a factor in this. So let's listen to what Lane Kiffin said, saying he had no idea what contract he signed and how much he's getting paid from LSU.
Nor did I know at the other places what the numbers were, because I said in the beginning, I told Jimmy Sexton, don't tell me the numbers, okay? I want to make a decision that has nothing to do with money for me. I don't know what it is, nor did I know at the other places what the numbers were.
See, this is one of those things where it's like, it's obviously not true. It's obviously not true. You know how much they were offering you. With that being said, though, if I am going to give Kiffin the benefit of the doubt here with this, you might not have cared if I'm taking what he said here and kind of like translating it to you people out here. What he is saying is, I didn't make this decision based off of money. I didn't make this decision because LSU was paying me $10 more or $2 million more. And that's something we knew throughout this entire process. Ole Miss was any dollar that LSU was going to offer Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss was going to offer that. Any offer that Ole Miss was going to offer Lane Kiffin, Florida was going to offer that. It was not about money. He left because he thought LSU was a better job and he had a better chance of winning a national title there, and he wanted to be one of the biggest faces in the sport with this big splashy move. That's why he left. You know how much money you're getting paid. If LSU offered you this job and it was $3 million a year, I don't think you're taking it. Now, they wouldn't have offered you that. I'm being a little disingenuous with that comment. They wouldn't have offered him a $3 million a year contract, but you know what you're getting paid. You know how much they're paying you. Like, don't act like I'm me, bro. I don't. I mean, is it like my hourly? My hourly and stuff, bro. Okay, so that's another one there where it's like come on, man, come on. I know what he's trying to say. He's trying to say I didn't take this job for the money, but you know how much you're getting paid. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. So here is probably the wildest one, and this is the one that has been debunked. And we have used Juice Kiffin on this show before because when earlier this year when Ole Miss beat LSU, Lane Kiffin like tweeted like 12 times just dancing on the grave of Brian Kelly, and he even had his dog's account tweet. Well, this is going to be something that's this is one that's really blew up the internet. So this is what a LSU account posted after Lane Kiffin got hired to LSU. They posted, one of the best things about getting Lane Kiffin is that we get Juice Kiffin too. Juice Kiffin is his dog, and you can see the picture of the dog. Somebody commented to this video, Juice is not his dog and will be staying in Oxford with his handler who he has lived with. And everyone was like, huh? Huh? Lane Kiffin got a fake dog? He got a fake dog? He was just using this dog as like in a way more skeevy way than what Kirk Herbstreit did or does, where Kirk Herbstreit kind of uses that dog for protection when everyone's mad at him. He's like, hey, here's a picture of my dog. Look at how cute he is. Lane Kiffin would like post a bunch of stuff with his dog or on this account, and it would get mega traction because everyone loves dogs, right? Now, I'll go ahead. I guess I'll keep talking about. I'll read these other comments because there's a few other people that basically allude to the same thing as this person. Now, this obviously isn't reporting. This is just people online saying stuff. Now, could they be telling the truth? Could they not be telling the truth? I am not sure. So hopefully you guys can read this one. If you can, I will read the one in the top left and I'll read the one in the bottom right of this picture. Worst kept secret in Oxford was it wasn't really his dog. I would have been shocked if he had actually taken Juice. Okay, then we have the other one. Dude, he left Juice in Oxford. It's all over the Ole Miss message board. Seriously, he left his dog behind. ... Now, do I think that Lane Kiffin had this dog and was like I have a dog. Dogs are really hard work. That is a big dog. That dog probably needs exercise. That dog probably needs to stimulate his brain. Lane Kiffin is a head football coach. Lane Kiffin is at his job, 16, 18 hours a day. That is what college football coaches do. So is he necessarily going to be the person that is, taking care of that dog and giving it its breakfast and its dinner? No, I don't think that. But the idea that you were using this account, posting stuff with this dog, and you didn't own it, and it was just someone else, that is nasty stuff, dude. That is that is using a dog to uplift your public image to make you seem more likable. Now, I will say what I said at the beginning. This is what people are saying. This is obviously just stuff on message boards. This is stuff people are just saying on X. Juice Kiffin emerged from the wilderness yesterday. I'm recording this Thursday, by the way. Juice Kiffin emerged from the wilderness and tweeted this. Can't wait to get down to Baton Rouge with my dad, brother, and sister. And he tweeted out a picture of a Bengal tiger. So, it looks like, at least from this post here, that Lane Kiffin will be having his dog and most likely the handler coming with him to Louisiana. Now, is he literally taking this handler for, because again, it's just he works, he has a very time consuming job. Like he's not the person that is always watching Juice Kiffin 24/7, right? That's my point with this stuff. That doesn't mean that the dog doesn't live with him. There's obviously no way to prove that as of right now. We kind of just have to take people's word for it. I'm sure if you don't like Lane Kiffin, you're going to still believe that the dog doesn't live with him. If you are maybe indifferent, maybe you're more willing to lean that hey, the dog lives with him. He just has someone take care of it every single day. Because again, he's a very busy person. So that one there, hey, is it real? Is it not real? I don't know. I don't know, but it feels like they probably had to do something to get that dog to Baton Rouge because this was a huge story. And you can see here, clearly had 3 million views on X. On X. So you kind of wish they would have done that earlier for better damage control than like 3 days for this story to like run amok and then to have a bunch of people, creating a bunch of like skits online about Lane Kiffin having like this fake dog, which I saw a bunch of those that were really hilarious that I laughed at a bunch. So that's all stuff that basically happened over the last 4 or 5 days. Some of that stuff, just Lane Kiffin just flat out lying. Some of that stuff, okay, maybe he said it this way, but he meant to say it this way. And then this one here where who the heck knows. I did this in the other Lane Kiffin video that we did on Sunday. Make sure you check that out if you haven't done so already. But I don't know if you guys remember this. I'm a little bit too young to remember this as like a football consuming fan. Lane Kiffin, remember when he goes to the Raiders and when he's fired, Al Davis does this like overhead projector press conference where he just like goes scorched earth on Lane Kiffin. He had quotes about his son. He like ripped Mike Lombardi into a million different pieces as well. But he also, I wanted to just I feel like it would just be appropriate to share what he said about Lane Kiffin in a lot of this stuff, because it's when we just went through all of that stuff that we just went through, knowing a lot of the other stuff, I think it's a good reminder how Lane Kiffin was thought about 17 years ago by Al Davis, who's one of the most respected NFL figures in the history of the league. Maybe not respected, but let's say successful. Happy 17th birthday. This is in September. Because obviously the stuff was posted a few months ago. Happy 17th birthday to the overhead projector press conference. Here's a thread of 10 memorable Al Davis quotes that day in 2008 when he fired Lane Kiffin. By the way, I just bookmarked the quotes that were about Kiffin. So you can see this first one here. I think he conned me. I think he conned all you people. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? Okay, does this one sound familiar? On Kiffin, he lies. He's a professional liar. He got Chris Morton to say, I sent him a resignation letter, which I never did. And a lot of you carried the fact that I sent him a letter. Wow. See, this is the stuff right here. And I'll read this last one, then I'll continue. On decision to fire Kiffin, it hurts because I picked the guy. I picked the wrong guy. The thing about that is so telling is that there were so many people like the Nick Sabans of the world and other people that were in the college football world that are just taking fat, massive L's over this past week with this Lane Kiffin decision and cheerleading on the Texas to the SEC or to the playoff narrative, where it's like, oh, you should have let Lane Kiffin coach through all this stuff. Lane Kiffin's a little sneaky dude. He's a little sneaky dude. He's going to stay in Oxford for an extra month, coach the team, and you're expecting him to have the right intentions of coaching the team. Now, he's obviously going to be trying to win, but the second he takes that LSU job, his priorities aren't for Ole Miss anymore. His priorities are making sure LSU is in the best position to win national championships and compete and win. So if anything, he's going to stay in Oxford, going to try and get as much of his coaching staff as he can. He's going to be recruiting for LSU. So Ole Miss had no decision but to try and figure out what they could do so they could keep their recruits, so they could retain their roster that is really good, that had them at an 11-1 record as of today, heading into the college football playoff, probably hosting a college football playoff game. So, yeah, man, Lane Kiffin, big time liar. I'm sure you guys already knew that, but I thought it was important to go through all of these lies. I got a train coming for me, and I want to wrap up this recording. So we're just going to end this video right here. We've been talking for about 20 minutes now. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment what you guys think about Lane Kiffin. Is there any lies that I missed out on from the last week or the last entire career of Lane Kiffin? But yeah, I just had a really fun time kind of going through some of these lies, and again, fill me in on some of the lies that we missed out on, whether that's from early on in his career, whether it's Ole Miss stuff that I missed. or couldn't find, please fill me in the comments. And good luck, LSU. Hopefully it works out better for you guys, because it seems like everyone else that has employed Lane Kiffin, it seems to end in a fiery car crash. So again, thank you guys for watching. Check out the rest of the college football content. We've been cranking out so much college football content, talking about the college football playoff over the last week or so. We're going to be doing that through this weekend too, with all the conference championships and the college football playoff going on. So thank you for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.